good, world? It's your dude, Darryl K.
And I'm Quinn Cook.
You already know what it is. Coolest store in Baltimore. Collector's Corner. Today's a very special episode, isn't it, Quinn?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Tell me what it is.
Alright, Season 2, Episode 1.
We made it, Season 2. We started from the bottom and now we at the top. Yeah, man.
Well, thank you all of our subscribers. We've been averaging about 200 plus views on every single one of our videos, and we couldn't do it without you guys.
Yes. It started off a little rough, but the loyal fans kept us in there. But now, what y'all got to do if y'all really love us, tell more people. Tell more people to watch us.
There you go.
You know, we're so awesome. But Quinn, we got some good stuff for him today.
We do. By the way, it is October. Villains Month has been over.
Yes. So no more villains.
Man, we kind of beat that with the dead horse, didn't we?
Yeah, last episode was full of that.
Yeah. So this week what I got going on is Mighty Avengers issue 2, and I also have Green Lantern number 24.
Okay, cool.
All right. So I'm actually going to begin with Mighty Avengers.
Cool.
Man, guys, I was really liking this first issue. This second issue definitely hits home. I really like the comedic aspect of it. It's not so serious and gritty like the dark aspect of the regular Avengers series. This series is hilarious. I really like the writing. I think it's Ewing, and he does such a good job on this book. They, of course, they're facing serious threats, but they also kind of add in a comedy between like Superior Spider-Man and Spider-Hero.
Okay.
And all I have to say is there's a grandma in this book. Honestly, she needs to be on this Avengers team. She chucks a brick at a villain. I mean, it's kind of awesome.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hooray for grandma, screaming Avengers Assemble.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, this comic is actually awesome. I've been following a little bit too myself. I mean, got my girl White Tiger, got my boy Luke Cage.
Yeah, this definitely reads more of a Heroes for Hire book, but don't let that stop you from picking it up. It's a really fun read. I'd absolutely give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Minority superheroes, man, they taking over.
It is, and it's kind of funny that they just had to throw in Spider-Man.
Yeah, we're just randomly throwing Spider-Man. That's okay.
Now, last time on Villains Month, I actually did Relic, which was a Green Lantern title, and that actually spins into Lights Out, which is issue 1. And I have to say, this was off to a really good start. I'm really excited for this new villain, Relic. He's really cool. He's just a good addition to new Green Lantern stuff. They kind of hit home with the whole like Sinestro thing and Black Hand. That's all fine and good, but you need to kind of.
I just keep every time somebody brings up Green Lantern, I just keep thinking about in the last issue that I read of the Trinity War ending before the Ultraman, all of them came over, and Baz was fighting Batman before they came. And Batman just told him, like, you're no Hal Jordan, and just pumped the crap out of him, and Baz just fell, and I'm just like, Baz suck. I hate him. I don't like him. I don't like Baz.
But this issue's really fun. It really defines Hal as, the de facto leader of the Green Lantern Corps. Kind of shows his leadership skills off a little bit, even though he is still kind of throwing rookies into the fray. He hasn't really had much time to gear them up for, becoming what Corps they need to be.
Okay.
And so, I can tell you, this isn't spoiling anything. This is from 2 months ago. The Blue Lanterns have now all disbanded. All of them but one, St. Walker, are now dead. And so they're trying to figure out who this guy Relic is and why is it they're so he has so much hatred towards all of what he calls the Lightsmiths. And so this issue is just a really cool read. This is going on all month long, and I think it's going to be a really cool read. So 4.5 out of 5 again. This is a great week for comics.
Once again. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to switch it up. Like Quinn said earlier when the show started, we did a lot of Villains Month, but I don't even have no Marvel and DC. I got some great indie titles. I want to give y'all something different, something fresh. So let's start with something totally brand new. America's Got Powers. This is an Image comic, and it is the first issue. I love the cover just because the cover is black and white. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay.
I think that's pretty cool. It is the second printing, though. I think the store only has the second printing right now, but the black and white cover is cool. But anyway, basically, America Got Powers. Quick summary, because this is brand new to me and to y'all guys watching the show. Basically, a whole bunch of kids in a generation has powers. The new generation of the children has powers. None of the people has powers. Only the kids. And basically the adults found a way to tame these guys because instead of them growing up to be criminals to abuse their power, they basically put them in these gladiator games, basically, and they kind of slowly kill off the people with powers.
So it's kind of like Hunger Games with superpowers?
Yeah, you can definitely say that Hunger Games superpowers a little bit. But the main character in the story does not have powers. But that's basically what it's centered around. Really don't want to give away too much. This is actually a pretty thick book if you can't tell, so there's a lot of great stuff in here. It brings you in really good. It gets you familiar with the main character. A lot of action first hopping in. I definitely recommend this. This is definitely different. Anytime I can see superpowers in a comic and it's not really just good against evil and it's like something different in society that's going on with the superpowers, I always support the comic. So I'm definitely going to give this a 3 out of 5. Solid read, something different. Definitely recommend this, guys.
All right.
And plus, Image does great work. I mean, Image has Spawn, Invincible, Walking Dead, Supreme. I mean,
yeah, they've been actually doing pretty fantastic work over the years.
Oh yeah, Image.
So what else do you have for us today?
Okay, guys, we're going to get a little history lesson today, but I think everybody that study any type of history know who this guy is. Yes, Caligula has his own comic. First thing I want to say is that this comic is not kid-friendly at all. I would not recommend this comic to anybody that's under 17. Okay? 18 and older to read this comic. Very graphic. But if you know anything about Caligula, about how crazy and how mad and how deranged he was as an emperor of Rome, this comic definitely does him justice. I was literally disturbed by some of the stuff in this comic. Like, I don't even want to go into it just because just even thinking about it makes my stomach queasy. But story-wise, the comic is centered around a guy that basically wants revenge against the Emperor Caligula for, you know, stuff he has done to him, of course. I mean, that's where revenge comes from. And basically, you just follow the story of the boy, and you get to see Caligula rise to power, some of the stuff he does. Basically, to show why they call him the Madman, why they call him the Master of Horror. I mean, Caligula is just really insane. Really deluded. I mean, this book is just devastating. It is an Avatar book. I actually has never heard of these guys until I read this book, so definitely a new company up on the rise, I'm guessing. I definitely do agree with this. It's pretty true, actually, to the source. If you know anything about the history of Caligula, it's definitely pretty accurate. It's just, you get to finally see the graphic scenes and you get just to see the...
So this is, so is this a fictionalized version of his history?
I'm going to say this is probably 80% true to him and probably 20% was only false, just because Caligula was really that crazy. Like, Caligula was really insane. He did a lot of crazy stuff. He appointed a horse to sit on the Senate. I'm serious. Like, Caligula appointed a horse to sit on the Senate. Like, he does crazy stuff. I'm definitely telling you, okay? Yeah. But I'm going to give this comic a 4.5 out of 5. It was really good. I just do not recommend this comic if you're under 17. 18 and older, you want a good history read, or if you don't know nothing about Caligula and you want to see some stuff that's not going to make you finish dinner, definitely read this. Great book. Great book.
Alright. And we do want to give a shout out and mention to Forever Evil #2. We will not be reviewing it this week, but it's absolutely a good read.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, guys, go pick that up. Your local comic shops.
Awesome.
Alright, so let's go kick it off to Allie B with our indie review.
Allie B.
Hey guys, it's Allie B with your Indie Review. Welcome to Season 2. And this week I'm actually going to be covering a new title, which is Vertigo's Hinterkind. A lot of people have been telling me it's like Fables, but I would argue not so much. So pretty much here's my take on it. The world has ended as far as like humanity goes. Humans are living in very small little like clusters throughout what we assume is the United States. And so the particular group we're following actually has an encampment in the overgrown New York City, and they're actually living inside of Central Park. And the opening scene, we're watching these two young people, I guess in their teens, hunting a zebra. And as you pan out, you discover they're actually on top of a high-rise. Which is crazy, right? So, very interesting. And so the story goes on, and you start noticing other things. It kind of reminds me of Black Hole, if you guys are familiar. Some weird mutations are going on. And so everyone's trying to keep it kind of hush-hush. You know, you don't want to be cast out from your group because, you know, you can't really survive on your own, sort of a thing. And then you come to realize that there's also these crazy, you know, mythological creatures, the fairies and demons and ogres and polycorns, like unicorns with like 3 horns and crazy things, which apparently have been in our world all along, but they've been just pushed to like the borders. And now that humanity has died, they've been able to resurge and now take over, and they are now eating us. So we're definitely very low on the food chain. It's very interesting. We don't get much story, like, very in depth, obviously, lots of exposition going on in the first issue, but we come to follow just these two young people as they venture out into the world and explore. So it's kind of like post-apocalyptic fairy tale. Because it's just the first issue, I don't have like a great feel for it yet. I'm gonna give it like a 3 out of 5. It seems like there's definitely a nice stable like foundation. Like it seems like a very expansive world that we can see a lot of new and exciting things in, but because I don't know the characters that well yet, I haven't developed a personal relationship with them. But I have high hopes for this. A little more violent than Fables. Lots of people being eaten, but yes, interesting. 3 out of 5. And now I'm actually going to kick it off to Jacob with the movie review.
What's up with y'all? I'm Jacob. Welcome to season 2 of Darryl K Says. Now, it is October, so I'm going to be going over a lot of horror movies. And today I'm going to be doing the top 5 vampire movies of all time, in my opinion. But first, I would like to review a movie that I thought was so bad I had to put my time to talking about. The new Lone Ranger film, starring Johnny Depp and Arnie Hammer. Now, movie delivers on action, that's good. Couple of great laughs, that's good. What you're gonna expect from a movie with Depp. I mean, if you've seen the Pirates of the Caribbean series, you know, it flies around that same, genre of action and comedy. But the problem is the plot is so terrible. Like, Avengers plot, but the guy who's supposed to be going to get vengeance doesn't really care about getting vengeance, and Johnny Depp cares about more getting vengeance. It was like another one of those films where it's like Johnny Depp is important and no one else is. Helena Bonham Carter, like, who I love, her role was like 12 seconds long. I was like, no, she's one of the best actors in this film. That's dumb. The Lone Ranger himself was a punk. Like, he was just like the saddest person to watch the whole movie. You kept asking yourself, why don't you just leave the screen and let Johnny Depp do what you're supposed to be doing in this movie? It was so terribly plot driven. Character writing was the worst I've ever seen in my life. The action sequences weren't even enough to keep me in the film. Even the start of the film, where it starts with Tonto telling the story of how he met, it was awful. Like, I give that movie, like, out of 10, a 1. And I give it a 1 for one reason: Johnny Depp. Don't watch this movie. And if you do watch this movie, you deserve anything that comes to you. Now, top 5 vampire movies. This makes me excited because it's a genre of film that I love very much. Because the telling of these vampire stories often can get repetitive or very creative. Number 5, Salem's Lot. Now, this movie was adapted from the Stephen King story of Salem's Lot. Now, I myself watched this 1979 film when I was younger and was terrified. Then I watched it when I got older and was still terrified. It takes place in the small town of Jerusalem's Lot. Now, there's a house there, and since the house's inception, it has been the home of murderers, killers, and just lots of horrible deaths. A writer who's from the town comes back there to try and spark some creativity after the loss of his wife and child. He is fascinated and focused on this house. Moving to the town also around the same time is a very odd man who owns a business antique store. And he constantly talks about this business partner who's moving in with him. The business partner, who we never see, is a vampire. And he's a very vicious vampire with reminiscences and kind of looks like the vampire from the original Nosferatu film. So I like how they bring that back. And then the whole town quickly becomes turned, like rapid rates. And by the time the movie reaches its climax, it's just a writer and one of the very odd children of the town who caught on because he's into that type of stuff. It's very interesting to watch. It's not fast-paced. It builds up slowly, but when it gets into the horror, it delivers constantly. And, movies, especially vampire movies being adapted from books, is something that's been around since the beginning. We're going to get into that in a section. Number 4, Interview with the Vampire. Today's vampire films really focus on beautiful men with their shirts off. This one focused on beautiful men with their shirts on, slaughtering and killing people. The acting was on point though, by Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise alike. And the writer, Anne Rice, had doubts about Tom Cruise playing Lestat until she saw the movie herself. And then she gave it the credit it was due. It is an amazing film. It is amazingly written, of course, because it was a great novel. The dialogue is on point, and the appearances you see from different people. It was a very good film. Definitely one of the best. A little more emotional than horror, but that just makes it different. It stands out from the genre. Number 3, From Dusk Till Dawn. The irony of this is, if you watch the deleted scenes or the behind the scenes, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez will tell you they set the movie up like a Stephen King book. How it starts off where it's a regular story, the characters set up in a very regular situation, well, regular for criminals in an action movie, and then when the horror starts happening, it attacks you out of nowhere. For that reason, you can feel like, oh, I'm the character because this just popped out of nowhere for them. I wasn't prepared for this. They weren't prepared for this. It talks about 2 bank robbers, brothers, the Geckos, Tarantino himself and George Clooney. They're on the run, trying to make a run to Mexico. They take a family hostage to help them get over the border. Once they get over the border, they start waiting at this Mexican bar to make a drop off, get some money delivered, live safely in Mexico. All of a sudden, strippers turn to vampires. That's all you need to know. Everything from there is just insanity. Only movie where Salma Hayek did not stay high. Number 2, The Lost Boys. The original Lost Boys, none of the sequels. I would kill myself before I watched those again. Now, again, in today's vampire film, what is very popular is the young vampires. Well, this is the movie that started the young vampires. Of course, essentially, vampires will always be young, but come on. You had Bela Lugosi playing vampires. So, that genre was played by older men, but this is the movie that started younger guys as the vampire lead role. And they killed it. Kiefer Sutherland was incredible in this movie. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman both played the parts of young kids who were trying to kill vampires. And the only applications they had to do this were the fact that they read comic books and saw movies. It's amazing. Holy water and water guns. That's originality, people. If you haven't seen The Lost Boys and you're a vampire movie fan, I really want to revoke your card today. Number 1, in my opinion, the greatest vampire film ever made, Dracula. The 1990s version. Now, Gary Oldman is my favorite actor before we go any further. But Keanu Reeves is in this movie and does a great job. Anthony Hopkins is in this movie and does a great job. And Winona Ryder is in this movie and does a great job. The acting is solid throughout the whole entire film. Plus, this is just the most horrifying Dracula you can ever see. And you see, the horror in the movie makes up for the fact that you are watching a Dracula love story. But in this film, Dracula turns into a wolf, a storm, a bat, a pile of rats. His shadow creeps on you. They ate a baby in the movie. That was sick. Plus, to go again, Anthony Hopkins as Dr. Van Helsing is probably the greatest casting you can ever have. He played demented. He was after Dracula to a level where it looked like he was as sick as Dracula, especially when he has to decapitate Dracula's brides. Oh my god. So those are your top 5 vampire films. Next week, I'll be reviewing another horror film. But in this case, I want you to pick it. So leave a comment under the video. Tell me what your favorite horror film is and what you want me to review, and I will do that. See y'all later.